that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So help me God, I do.
Thank you, sir. And name and address for the record, please.
My name is Maximilian James Hayden III. I reside at 984 Cherry Valley Road in Hopewell Township, New Jersey. Good evening, members of the board. I am, is this on?
It is.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not the Max Hayden. The Max Hayden was the host of the King George, and my sister's here in the audience. Is she still here? Well, she may have left. Dad died 2 years ago, and Mom is still alive, living in my childhood home on Mountain View Road. My family came to Warren in 1949. They lived in Millington prior to that. They owned the Ralph Terrell Farmhouse, which was the home of the first township clerk, which was at the end of King George Road. In 1966, they moved from that house because Interstate 78 took 20 of their 40 acres. At one point, my grandfather was going to sell 5 landlocked acres to the town at a reduced rate, and the state said, well, then that's the rate we're going to pay you for the rest of the property. And he had 2 words for them. They weren't happy birthday. He was a very direct speaker, and he sold the 5 acres to the town for $1. It enabled the King George Inn to get much needed sewers about 4 years later. My grandfather had a diner in Plainfield, New Jersey. He came up with the idea of buying the inn in 1953 when the for sale sign came up. My grandmother pushed this man very hard, and he said, Jim, you deserve a better restaurant, and that's the place we're gonna turn into something more than it is. It was a drinking man's bar. So they bought it, and everybody in Plainfield said, you're crazy, it's nothing but a bunch of hillbillies and farmers. And it was for quite a while. But 2 years later, they added a dining room and doubled the kitchen. 4 years later, they expanded the banquet hall out the front porch, which as a historic preservation architect, I can tell you, I think was a bad idea. But it was the 1960s, and they were being successful. 4 years after that, in 1964, they added the Crow's Nest, with the best view in Warren Township of the Watchung Mountains. And 3 years after that, they doubled the kitchen again. Part of the reason we're all here and why there are 1,178 signatures on a change.org petition site is because we care about history. We care about this building. I am a historic preservationist. I have gone to great lengths to preserve my house, which I've moved from a corner. I own an 1833 journal store, so I not only talk the talk, I walk the walk. I am the chair of the Hopewell Township Historic Preservation Commission. I've been that for 6 years. The building is not designated in a legal sense, but when you read the comments, and there are nearly 500 comments on the change.org, you get a sense of history. When you read Villages at the Crossroads and read that Woodrow Wilson gave a speech from the front porch in 1912 for his presidential campaign, you get a sense of history. When you read Alan Siegel's book, and I take umbrage that he made comments in the paper that the building's dilapidated and should be torn down, you get a sense of history because you see all the photographic evidence of the building. Part of the criteria for designation is age and integrity. We got the age. Integrity, the basic form is there. I sit on a grant panel for Somerset County that gives out grant money every year. We advise the planning board and the freeholders to what to give money for historic grants. And I have been in buildings that are fractionally much more, have much less integrity and are in far worse condition than the King George Inn. I've been in that building. You're not doing a great job of keeping it boarded up, I can tell you that much. And I have seen much worse buildings. I think I am asking the board to consider in this redevelopment. I understand the idea of the redevelopment. Part of me agrees with it because it is an eyesore. I hope that you get proposals that ask for the preservation. I wish you would allow the Historic Sites Committee to become a commission so you have some tooth, because as a committee you have no, I won't say the word, but it's 5 letters, I think. And it gives the commission some ability to, through design guidelines, dictate the appearance of buildings and help homeowners and business owners maintain buildings. So I think you folks do have the wherewithal with the Township Committee to do something very nice here. And I think Mount Bethel deserves it. I think Warren deserves it. I hope you go on the change.org website and read some of the comments. We have people from Sweden, Australia, throughout the United States who have been to the King Georgian. In my little world of Princeton, I have mentioned the King Georgian many times, and people said, yes, my aunt got married there. Yes, we had a Holy Communion. We went there every Christmas, but not Christmas, we weren't open Christmas, Mother's Day, Easter. And really some of the comments are wonderful. And so it isn't on the register, but I think it could be eligible if someone took the time and told the story of the inn. And I think it is the one intact building that hasn't been moved, because the Baptist church was disassembled and moved up the hill. The former Martin's Market across the street, which has a consignment shop, was moved back. The Oddfellows Hall, which was also the firehouse, was moved back. No building in Warren has seen so many uses and had been a tavern for over 200 years. So I really hope you take this application very seriously. I hope you use your best guidance and creativity to see adaptive reuse. It would be great if it remained partially a tavern, but if it was high-end condos, if you built outbuildings that look like barns that once existed on the property, think outside the box. We don't do that enough. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing what comes up.
Just stay there 1 second. I just would like to respond to what you're saying. If we get past this meeting tonight and we move this on to the next step, I think it has the best chance of doing what you're asking us to do, because if it comes back to the board, we'll have more latitude. Our hands are actually tied right now with regard to discussing uses.
Sure.
But at the next meeting, and I'm assuming that it's gonna go to the Township Committee, and at some point in the near future, we're gonna get it back again. And when we do get it back again, we'd appreciate you coming back up. Because if we can incorporate some of what you just talked about into whatever's going to be put there, I think it'll be a win for everybody. And I think that's what
This is on 4 Facebook sites, and some of the comments were we didn't want taxpayer money being used. And I said, that's not what we're requesting. We're requesting a conversation. We're requesting a team approach. So often development is done in a vacuum. And sure, everyone likes money, everyone likes to make money. But history, no one owns it. We all own it. And we all have a share in it. And thank you for your comments. I really appreciate it.
I just want everyone to understand, we do hear